And with that, Final Fantasy IV The After Years comes to a close. So while the ending plays out, I'm just going to go over what I thought of the game, as generally what I do with, Let's Plays when I finish them. I think a lot of Let's Players do that when they finish them. So let's go over graphics. Graphically, the game is on par with Final Fantasy IV DS and its PC port and mobile port. It suffers from the same flaws because in most cases it uses the same graphics and models from the Final Fantasy IV DS. Some of the stuff is blown out, some of the graphics are glitchy through their hands. Say the capes on Edge, his cape is constantly attached to his arm. But the newer models for the After Years characters are beautiful. Some of them are a little weird, I'll give you that. Say Cid's coat. Don't know why they added that. And the camera on Luca's stomach is definitely something they should have adjusted or just removed. But overall, the graphics are fine. They're beautiful. I probably still prefer the 2D graphics, but that could be nostalgia from Final Fantasy II, like the Super Nintendo one, coming out. Though the PSP version of this game is outstandingly beautiful as well. We'll move on to audio, because there's really not much to talk about graphically. The spells look fine. Meteor is kind of lackluster, but I mean, PSP one played out fucking forever, so I'm kind of glad they nerfed that. Yeah, so audio, it borrows a lot of its music from, Final Fantasy IV, which had an amazing soundtrack. All the sound effects are beautiful, and they match their appearance, I guess you can say. They fit perfectly, and the theme songs, the battle music, all that jazz is just awesome. I would listen to this if I had a soundtrack in my car on the way to work or something. That's actually not a bad idea. I'm going to actually look into that, because I love this music. That being said, it does suffer from no voiceovers. Final Fantasy IV DS had an amazing voiceover cast, and they don't return for this. Why? I don't know. I'm guessing it was a cost-cutting measure. This game, was originally a mobile episodic not Let's Play, but RPG that came for cell phones, moved to WiiWare, then was packaged with Final Fantasy IV Complete, and then was a mobile game again, and then a PC. So Square has this amazing issue of re-releasing Final Fantasy IV and its relatives a lot. And I'm fine with that. I'm kind of a fanboy of the game, so, I bought most all of them. So, I don't know. This could be just me, but I kind of get off the whole voice acting track. But, so yeah, it would have been better if they got the original voice cast to come back and help out. Or not help out, but do voices for the characters. Probably would have saved my voice or thrown a lot of work from reading all the text. Maybe next time in the future, hey, I don't know. They'll probably remake this game again. I won't be surprised if there's, in 2 years, a PlayStation 4 HD remix of Final Fantasy IV Collection. I wouldn't put it past Square at all. Let's go to the, story next, or move on to the story. It's not that great. It's fine. But it is a spin-off / sequel of a Final Fantasy game. You look at all the other spin-offs and sequels of Final Fantasy game, stories don't tend to live up. That being said, I did enjoy this story a lot more than I did some of the numbered later Final Fantasy games. That could be biased because I really, really like Final Fantasy IV. Or it could just be that the story's better. It's not great. It's not a great story. It's an alright story. Some of the aspects of the story don't really make sense. Like the creator moving the moon. He was gonna destroy us. Why save the planet after he died? Or was dying? Why did Midna's turn on him? I think because of the little girl. The creator was on a rampage, was gonna kill the little girl, and the other Midna's was like, no, that's one of us. Even though we've never shown emotion for anything outside our mission. Yeah, I don't know. It could have been handled better, but aside from the ending and that extremely long chase scene, I think the game was pretty decent. I'll play it again. I let's played it. I finished it, obviously. I enjoyed it well enough. I won't finish a game if I don't enjoy it. Let's just say that. Not foreshadowing anything or anything like that. But yeah, it's an enjoyable game. If you can get the PSP and the PSP version, play that one. It's generally better. You get challenge dungeons. You actually have different optional bosses that are actually tied into different Final Fantasy games, which is pretty awesome. That they removed them for some reason in the 3D version. I don't know why. Yeah, I guess they just didn't want to make the models for them. Another cost-cutting measure, which is a shame, but I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do as a business, which is not always the good thing. Is there anything else that I want to go over for, like, a tad review thing? Hey, I don't like Sukunawa. Well, okay, I don't like any of the Eblon 4 there. Oh, characters. Yeah, we can go over characters. A lot of the new After Year characters were second fiddle to the old school guys. Like, even the temporary party members from the original version were generally better suited for the party than a lot of the new characters. Which, I get. I mean, it's fan servicey, but I get that you want to still make the other characters, or the main characters, super relevant and super good and all that jazz. But, you know, characters like the Eblon 4, none of them are really good. Two of them are alright, Sukunawa and Gecko. They're alright. Gecko can fill in for Sid and Luca. Sukunawa is generally just a decent, you know, fighter as well. But he has, like, the lowest HP in the game, or second lowest HP. I think Lenora has lower ones. And so he can't take a hit. He can do some good damage because of his agility, and his equipment is generally the same as Edge's, but he doesn't live up to Edge's power. And then there's, like, Harley, who's just completely and utterly useless. The dolls are really bad. One, they're completely underleveled due to them being snuffed out in Rydia's story and not being able to be leveled up like, you know, Rydia and Luca were, and not taking part in the first half of the final chapter. So they fall behind. They're the lowest level characters you get. I mean, but other characters like Theodore and Ursula, they fill in great. Ursula is actually stronger than her Final Fantasy IV counterpart. Theodore's not, but he's a better off healer than them. Even Kane's a really big powerhouse. I mean, out of the three, you know, Kane, Cecil, Theodore, Kane's probably the top one now, followed by Cecil and then Theodore when it comes in terms of power. But Theodore's a better healer in general than Kane and Cecil. So if you're gonna go by off healing, you probably want Theodore aside from everyone else. If you want tanky survivability and damage, you're gonna want Kane and Cecil. And then there's Golbez, though he was a main cast member in Final Fantasy IV, you never get to play him. And he is probably one of the best black mages in the game, or the best black mage in the game, because there's only two of them, and Lenora. Oh, and Rydia. She's a summoner, though. We don't count her. She's in a league of her own. She's God tier, while everyone else only gets to S tier. But yeah, Golbez, he can take so much damage. Literally, he is a tank, because he has a taunt command, and he has the ability to destroy things with black magic and physical. He is amazing. But like I was saying, he is a main character. And any of the secondary characters that I'm forgetting about, well, there's Lenora. She is powerful, extremely late in the game. So if you're going for like optional endgame stuff and you're level 80, 85, she's good. If you're gonna get up to like 85, 90, give her the dual cast ability. She'll be great. But if you're not gonna do that, there's no reason to. She doesn't learn any good spells up until that point. And her healing is subpar compared to the other white mages. So there's literally no reason to use her. I mean, the mages in general, as a full party of 5, are amazing. They're powerful. They have a band called Affinity that will just wreck things. It's a good band, but it's not worth it for the most part. Anything other characters that I want to go over? I mean, my original complaint with the Dark Knight still kind of stands. It's, you go through Final Fantasy IV, Cecil redeems himself, becomes a paladin, does all that jazz, saves the world. Then in this one, 15 to 17 years later, depending on what version you're playing, he falls back into a slump and somehow retains all his darkness from an encounter with the mysterious girl. Don't know why that happened. I'm not sure if it's something the creator did to him, like through one of the crystals. If Klula's power just faded over time. I mean, in a time of peace, Cecil probably wasn't training every day. Oh, obviously, he was level 30 when we got him. But he reverted. It was weird. It's like they did the undo button for all he accomplished in Final Fantasy IV and waited until his brother, wife, and child saved his ass. So they could have handled that better. I mean, I don't want to say this because I really like Cecil, but if they were going to do something drastic to remove him from the picture and make it so that you're all having a hard time with this, kill him off? I don't know. That probably would have made the game worse, or pissed off a lot of fanboys if they were like, "You killed Cecil, you sons of bitches!" I can understand that. It's just, I don't know. I don't get why they handled Cecil that way. I don't want to rag on the game, because a lot of people do. There's some issues with it. I get that, and I notice them. I'll always be honest with you guys when I'm playing a game and I see an issue. Hell, watch like my Bloodborne Let's Play, or hell, my Dragon Age Inquisition Let's Play. Sometimes I'll get salty with game design problems or just bugs, and I'll rip into the game. And I've ripped into this game a lot, but it's still a decent game, as Bloodborne was still a decent game. I'm still on the fence about Dragon Age. I don't want to get to that yet, but there's problems, but they're not as bad as a lot of people will say. I've read reviews that said this is the worst Final Fantasy game. No, I definitely disagree with that. I have a couple of tied installments that are worst Final Fantasy game. And it's not X2 either. I actually finished, I 100%ed that game when it was first released. It's not a good game, but I bared through it. There are some ones after that I could not bear. That's a different story. It's not an awful game after years, but it's not Final Fantasy IV. That's what a lot of people that came into this kind of expected. They expected the same feeling they got from Final Fantasy IV. I understand that. I didn't when I came into this. When I heard about it, I'm like, man, this game's going to be full of fan service, and I'm still going to enjoy it. And I did. I got it on WiiWare when it was released into America. Then I got it on PSP. And then I got it on PC. Day 1 release and day 1 Let's Play. Alright. And I've actually played the game a few times too, while doing the Let's Play, which is kind of silly. So it's definitely something I enjoy. I think a lot of you guys enjoy it too, based off like the viewership. Let me know if I'm wrong on that, but based on interaction and people watching it, you guys seem to enjoy it just as much as me, for the most part. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to live up to Final Fantasy IV. It's not going to live up to Final Fantasy V or 6 or 7. We're already working on a foundation that's been laid and set in stone. I don't know what people expect. I love this scene. We got Anna floating there, and just Tella just standing on air, like, yep, They didn't bother to give me a floating animation. Sorry. But yeah, I like this game. This was a good game. I'm glad I played it on the PC. I almost didn't. I almost was gonna do a PSP Let's Play, and I eventually probably will do a PSP Let's Play of this. Not even for the sheer fact that it's different enough in terms of like gameplay and the challenge dungeon and the final dungeon, but I'm probably going to go through the complete collection one day anyways, through Final Fantasy IV, through the interlude, which they didn't even include in the 3D version. The interlude was a very, very small game that was made to fill in gaps with the final, the After Years story. Does it actually work? Nah, not really. And it's only like 3 hours long, I think. I remember. I haven't played it in a while. I played it once when it was first released, and it was just like, I guess I never have to do that again. It wasn't great. It wasn't awful. It wasn't really anything. It was like, hey, do these small tasks, and then, get on to, the After Years. He's praising the sun, yeah. Which I can get behind that. But yeah, I'll probably do those someday. As for what's next, some of you already know that I'm planning on doing a Final Fantasy V Let's Play. If you followed me on like Twitter, twitter.com/ChronosPlays, or read the comments. I was talking to NBCell recently, who showed me a pretty neat program that allows me to play apps on the PC. So I will be doing the mobile version of Final Fantasy V next, which I'm super stoked for, because I was like praying that Square was going to release the mobile versions of 5 and 6 on PC by the time I finished this, and they didn't. So I was they released like Type 0. Never played that game before. I think it's a card-based Final Fantasy game. Don't know. I saw a trail for it. I don't want to say it looked like shit, but it didn't look like a game I was going to enjoy. Could be wrong on that. Maybe one day I'll do like a first impressions or something on it and see where it goes from there. So the next Let's Play for the After Years time slot is going to be Final Fantasy V Mobile. Probably won't call it Final Fantasy V Mobile when I do that whole, hey everybody, welcome back to Chronos Plays Final Fantasy V. I'll probably just say Final Fantasy V and not Final Fantasy V Mobile. And I got other little projects that are going to be coming along in the near future. I think I'm going to do a playthrough of Dark Souls that wouldn't take over a time slot. It would probably just be a side series of kind of like my Isaac series. It'd be three times a week. Not guaranteed if I don't have time, but I think that's going to be coming up. I also need to do some promise fulfilling based on my old Let's Plays that I foolishly made promise of. So, who knows? There could be a Mega Man 2 Let's Play in the future. I still need to get the Proto Babble. Oh, how many people laughed if they came from my Final Fantasy IV Let's Play when I called the Death Mask hands the Proto Babble hands? Saw that in editing. I wanted to fix it, but I'm like, I can't. I gotta leave that in so people will just shake their head in my disgrace. But yeah, I'm gonna let the ending play out, so I hope you enjoy the other ending, and I hope you enjoy this series. Let me know if there was anything that I could have improved upon in the series, and I'll definitely do my best to do so in future Let's Plays. And yeah, thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, press the like button below if you're not subscribed yet. Thanks for watching the final episode of a 69 episode Let's Play. But why don't you go check out some of my other videos and see if you want to subscribe or not. And once again, thank you for watching. I hope you all have a great day. She is so adorable, but creepy eyes. Really creepy eyes.